Welcome back to Culture Corner Review for culture news, reviews, and everything in between. Let's get it. Hope everybody's doing good out there. And we're just going to jump straight into it. In regards to the Ime Udoka situation over in Boston Celtics, to be specific. And again, it's everywhere. The story, it doesn't look good on multiple levels. And the more in the background people are conversing about, quote unquote, when everything comes out, it's gonna boom when everything comes out. Don't know what that means. We're at the mercy of just waiting to see. But again, we're having this conversation because of the way the information's coming out, the quote unquote leaks that, we're getting spoon fed certain information about higher up wives involved. And again, and just that point alone, the mix up with that, the level of mix up is just unprecedented when you really think about it. The last name Lynch, there are two Mr. Lynches that work for the Boston Celtic organization. One is the senior vice president of finance. And again, this is the name that everyone ran with. This was the Mr. Lynch, I should say, that was attributed to the name. This specific Mr. Lynch, the senior vice president of finance, is who got this whole situation initially got tied to. Everyone, publications ran with it. I'm talking major publications. They put it out. There was this one news anchor. She was just embarrassed with the situation. It was just silence of the lambs when everything came out, and she realized that she basically made a mistake. It's crazy. And this particular Mr. Lynch, the older Mr. Lynch, the senior vice president of finance, again, it's an older guy, so he's not on social media like that. I'm sure he doesn't have a TikTok account, maybe Facebook, because it's his generation. Instagram, probably not. So again, I'm going to say he was kind of blindsided. I would assume. Put yourself in his shoes. You kind of see this in the news and it's like, what? And so I would say, he was blindsided. Nothing funny about the situation, and that's unfair to him and his family, and full disclosure, the complete facts of everything are not out yet. They're not disclosed. Okay. So we're just going by the pieces that we're being given, the pieces that's being exposed. So let's just look at what we do know. How about that? Let's look at what we do know. What we do know is that Ime was suspended for a full season, full year. So again, the organization, I'm sure, called him in. I'm sure when they called him in, they had a conversation, because it's being said that execs flew in for this meeting. So again, it wasn't no light situation. They flew in. I'm sure they presented what they had to him, and or whatever conversation was had. The reprimanding and or suspension was handed down. He and or the organization agreed to it somehow. It was announced to us. That's what we know. 1 year suspension. That's what we do know. What we do know, what last name woman Lynch, multiple women, we don't know. But again, with what we do know, last name Lynch, works with the organization, married to another person that works with the organization in some capacity. He works with a consultant firm, Mercer Consultants LLC. That's the actual Mr. Lynch that spouse is supposed to be involved with Ime. All right, so that's what we do know. What we do know, she still works with the organization. That's what we do know. We do know at the present time, Mrs. Lynch still works with the Boston Celtics. Okay, that's what we do know. Boston Celtics actually consulted with her, told her to kind of put a freeze, pause, delete, whatever you want to call it, on all your social media. It's like they knew the storm and just gave advice. So they're consulting her and or advising to some certain extent. That's what's being said as well. And let's just take a second to just identify something. Like, we'd be remiss if we didn't see and just kind of discuss something. The initial name mix-up of the last name Lynch with the senior vice president of finance for the Boston Celtics with the consultant at Mercer Consultants LLC. that initial mix-up really contributed, I think, to the fuel as to where this story is. Initially, it's like, oh man, whoa, senior vice president of finance. Oh man, come on, Ime, like out of everybody, that's the one. So that's kind of what everyone was going with. And when you have publications and outfits and, vloggers and just people really going in on that narrative, because again, that's the saucier narrative. That's the narrative that just maybe people came across and wanted to believe and, just kind of ran with. That's what we saw first. That's what we heard first. And then coupled with what we're not hearing, the things that they're not talking about, and the rumbles and whispers like, ooh, if details ever come out or when the full story come out, you'll see. Stuff like that. Whoa. Now it's not even about the last name Lynch. It's about, okay, what we don't know. What's going on here? That's the conversation. And what's most interesting is the origin story. The origin story is most interesting as to what it actually is. Again, number of stories, one being the ring camera situation. Wife was overheard by the husband on the ring, and when the husband approached her, as a matter of fact, he initially supposedly, again, this was being said, he didn't even approach her initially. He works again with the firm he works for. They have access to people, stuff and things. And again, it's being said that the husband, Mr. Lynch, hired a private investigator on his wife. That's what he did before he had the conversation with her. And when he had the conversation with her, he felt confident, like, all right, got you, got the receipts. Whether he went to her first, and you know what, I'm going to assume he went to his wife first, had a conversation with her, because that's what you got to do. You got to have that conversation first. And then it was said that when he went to the organization, again, he wanted to keep it in-house for the most part, because he took it to the organization like, here, what's the best way to deal with this? So he was looking to the Boston Celtics organization for direction when he brought this to them. At that point, that's when full details are not known. They say investigation back in July. That's when one started. But again, did the Celtics have a separate investigation, or did they rely on the investigation that Mr. Lynch had with his private investigator? That's the question I would ask. If I was in the press conference with the Boston Celtics when they announced that, if they were having another press conference, I would raise my hand, and that would be the question that I would ask. My question for you is, what question would you ask? So in the comment section below, tell me what question you would ask if you were in a Boston Celtics press conference. And as we know more of Mrs. Lynch, her role for the organization, she was the talent services manager. Basically, she would handle all the travel for the players, the organization travel. They have 80-some games for season, 40-some, some half road games, playoffs, postseason. Yeah, so you got the players, you got the staff. So busy. It's not unusual for Ime, I'm assuming, and this lady to interact. They have to interact if she handles travel for the team and the extended execs and things like that. So, and or them being around each other, I'm sure, wasn't unusual because of her role. But to the extent of their relationship, the details of that, again, that's what we're waiting for. I'm talking full details, because some rumblings in the back, some rumblings in the back are like, they're making it sound like this whole situation is like a ticking time bomb. And when the pieces come out, it's like, boom type, I keep saying boom because there's things I'm hearing behind the scenes that, again, let's just in time, let's wait for some verifiable, confirmed things. It's almost like Bigfoot. You're waiting for a confirmed sighting. Hope that everyone in this situation, makes it to the other side to see the light, to go through it in the public light, in the public eye, public microscope. That's the painful part. That's the, salt to the wound, so to speak. So with that being said, like, comment, subscribe. And like we say at Culture Corner Review, life is too short for anything but love. Bless up.